This is Al Fritsch at Earth Healing, and we're going to tell you about how to start an early garden. When do you start it? You start it in the autumn, before the springtime. By that time everything's growing and you have to protect it. So we're talking about it now, and just as autumn is coming to us, well, we have already planted some seeds. Usually try to get those out in late August. Those types of vegetables that can withstand the cold weather. We're not talking about anything. We're not talking about spinach. We're not talking about lettuce, because these things will die quickly under very mild winter conditions. We're talking about brassicas. That's the kale, mustard, collards, the members of the cabbage family that we all know so much about. Broccoli and Brussels sprouts and kohlrabi and many others. We have many of these brassicas, and we try to put them in, and that's what is in this bed right here that we see. Under the various cottons or coverings that we got, we're starting up a winter crop of materials that can be harvested late winter and early spring. And we will see a few of these. Here is a bed of mustard, started in late August. It will be harvested in the springtime. It's also got a lot of violet leaves in it, because violets grow wild here, but actually they're excellent for salads, so they can be used also along with the mustard. Why am I covering it in the autumn when it's still warm? Because it's a good protection. I can put water on it, because we've had some very dry times right now. Put some water on it and it lasts a whole week without too much evaporation. And so therefore, the very covers we're going to use through the winter, well, we start them in the autumn too. We don't put a frame on it yet because the materials are very small. They're only an inch high. Later on, we will be putting a frame, and we'll show you that frame right now. And here's a little kale here, along with some chard along the edge that's been growing during the summer. And what's the reason we're putting a frame made out of bamboo poles? And these bamboo are bent over. It's the American bamboo, which could be replaced by steel work. That would be rebar, or it could be plastic material, that's PVC piping, or you could use some wood frames of different sorts. And there's many ways of doing it, but we're crossing these with these two bamboo poles, because then as the material grows and as it becomes closer to winter, it's important that there's an air space between where the growing plant is occurring, but not to make the air space any more than you have to. We don't like to do what they do with tunnels in commercial greenhouses, where they have a lot of air space above. We're not talking about that. These cloths, which are rebae, a plastic material, and we also use tobacco cotton that's used for growing tobacco sometimes, these breathe, and they allow the air to go through to some degree. And therefore, you do not need more than what is necessary for the plant. And you don't want it touching the plants themselves. So as it grows, we raise the frame a little bit by simply sticking it a little closer and bending the arch and making it a little higher. And then we put the cloth on top of it. Then we peg it down at each corner with pegs of some sort. And there it's held during the winter time. It's able to be used, and we have that airspace underneath that allows the plant to grow and still be very healthy. Well, these will last, and as the plants grow, and in the autumn they'll grow up to 5 or 6 inches, and we will hold them through the winter. Now, some parts of the winter you may not be able to go out and uncover the snow and get these materials out. But as we will see, comes a little later, and when the ground clears, there underneath these cloths will be, in their frameworks, will be these, all of these vegetables ready to be. Usually we say we eat during late fall, we eat again in very early spring or late winter, and there's a period of time when we may not be able to with what we've got outdoors. but it's very low cost and it's very easily maintained. And both of these elements are extremely important for this type of approach. This is how to do winter gardening, which I have been doing for years. Now a lot depends on the winter. Now we had a very hard winter, and yet you will see in a minute that some of these things held on. And they held on not just by some type of artificial greenhouse, but by the use of a remay or cotton of some sort. And I've left one of those on, but we'll look underneath. And we'll find that the kale under there thrived all through the winter, even though we had 20-degree below at one time, though very rare and also for a very short time. However, things like this parsley, it holds through the winter, provided that you have some type of cover. Now the important thing is, though, is to have cover. You can't do it without it. And it's the wind that does more of the damage than anything, than the weather itself. Because if you have a nice little atmosphere in there, no matter how cold it gets outside, it protects it very well. And so we wanted to start again, and so we start again with our parsley that survived from last year. And next to it, we've got onions already planted. And this is March 25th. And it's late for me because I usually have the onions and the peas out before the end of February. At the end of February, we had about 15 inches of snow covering our ground, and I simply couldn't get in there and actually do anything for it. And so therefore, it's running late. But for a lot of people, late means May in this part of the country. Or average, they would say late April would be an average time. But by late April, we should have already had a very nice garden going for us for the springtime. Now this is a bit of oregano, and it's been very good for us for the last 3 years. However, as I said, we had some very cold weather, whether it survived it or not. I see a couple of the sprigs are coming up. Whether the entire patch will re-foliage, I do not know. And so it may have been the end of it because of the very severe winter we had. But this garlic survived it. As I said, the parsley survived, the kale, the mustard survived, and so we did have a lot of things that are bringing us into early spring. Again, a lot depends on where you live, in what part of the country, how you've got a building like this is here, which has a certain amount of warmth to it, which allows things to come up and to hold themselves fairly well. And so a lot depends on your topography, your climate, and even the season itself, how the weather came and went. Over here is a bed that we've already planted, and I do not see any of it up yet, but it's planted in a row of peas. Another row will be put on this side, but hasn't been there yet. Usually I put my peas out middle Valentine's Day, some people say in the south, but I usually try to get it in February. But this year, everything was covered at the end of February, and so I had to wait for the peas to come in early March. But they will come, and they will blossom and bloom, and then they will have a lot of produce towards the end of May. And so it's an early garden, and we should really stand for trying to get as early a garden as possible because our spirits are such that we really want to get early materials. And of course you can use the things that grow on the ground, such as dandelions, and later on will come over in one section here, will come a few poke, and that gives you shoots that will be able to be eaten just like asparagus later in almost into May, late April. And so we have here, again, in the late part of April, we have onions which are now been harvested for a long period of time, but already in good shape. We have parsley that we've been using that grew during the winter here with a tent over it. And we have over there, we have radishes about ready to use at least as greens. And as you move around, we'll see our herbal bed over there. and we'll look at it a little more closely.
This is chives in my herb portion of the garden, and we've got the garlic, which we use virtually all year. Now it's getting ready to come up and go into a top seeder. We have here broccoli, which was raised by a neighbor and given to us as plants, and they're already in. We have some salsify there that is not up yet. Over here in the brick circle, we have oregano, and we thought it died out because I didn't have it covered. We have three different kinds of mint. We have an apple mint, which is up there closer to the camera. We have also we have a spearmint and a peppermint that we have part here and part in the back corner of my little garden. And we have different places where we have herbs that we use during the course of the year. We have a row of peas, which we normally put in before the end of February, but we had so much snow we couldn't get into it until mid-March. We have a bed there that we had beans that have already been planted, and we have some broccoli here that is a second patch of that. We have behind it, we've got the grapes that are beginning to give their shoots at this time. And as we conclude, we say, think about it this autumn. It's a good opportunity for us to put in some tents, put in some beds, have things for the spring. That means they have to have a start during the autumn, and you're going to have to water them a little bit and get them nourishing and going. But after they've got a small start, you can put them through the winter, and you will have your greens for the spring. Again, the herbs that we have, along with the mint that gives us summer drinks, along with these spring greens, these can be things that we get early and that we put into our kitchen table at a time when other things would cost us a lot of money. So think about this. It extends our garden from March all the way into almost the end of the year in this temperate climate. It's always important for us not to build these big things, tunnels and greenhouses. Keep them small, keep them down to earth. They'll be there and they'll be productive in a very special way. This is Al Fritsch from Earth Healing.